So let me just start by saying good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, and thank you for your efforts during this hearing to improve public safety in this nation and in this city. I'm pleased to discuss the Fire Department's progress towards enhancing our preparedness since 9/11. As you know, I became Fire Commissioner on January 1st, 2002. We've submitted a comprehensive written statement and a copy of our recently released strategic plan for 2004-2005, the first strategic plan, I might add, that the Fire Department has ever published in its nearly 140-year history. These documents detail our new initiatives, training programs, and technological advancements. I'll try to hit some of the highlights in the few minutes we have. In the aftermath of the World Trade Center attacks and the loss of 343 members with over 4,400 years of accumulated collective experience, the New York City Fire Department faced an enormous challenge. We needed to simultaneously conduct a massive recovery effort at the World Trade Center site, replace lost equipment, hire and train new personnel, attend hundreds of funerals and memorial services, and begin the difficult process of developing new strategies, procedures, training methods, and technologies to enhance our preparedness for the new challenges of terrorism. More than 2.5 years later, I'm proud to say the Department has made substantial progress, exhibited exceptional bravery, dedication, and honor in performing all of their tasks. I think we're more prepared today to respond to major acts of terrorism than we were on 9/11. To enhance preparedness, we first needed to restore the Department to its former strength. This has been accomplished by replacing all 91 pieces of apparatus that were and equipment lost on 9/11. We've hired and trained 2,668 new firefighters and promoted 1,543 officers to fill the vacancies left by the devastating effects of 9/11 and the subsequent retirements for medical and other reasons that we experienced. So our new members and newly promoted supervisory personnel are bright, they're talented, they're dedicated, but they are very inexperienced. The relative inexperience of our workforce makes training more vital than ever before. Across the ranks and in every division and unit, we're providing appropriate levels of terrorism response training. For instance, all uniformed fire and emergency medical services, EMS members, have received at least 8 hours of terrorism response training. All new firefighters receive 40 hours of combined hazardous material and terrorism awareness training, and officers are receiving up to 40 hours of incident command system training that is going on throughout the department now. All fire officers and members of EMS HASTAC Battalion have been trained to use rat alert detectors. These are portable detectors that allow us to detect whether there is radioactivity material at an incident. And over 625 members in 21 separate ladder support companies have received 80 hours of specialized hazardous material and heavy rescue training, and they are scattered throughout the city. We also, of course, have a dedicated hazmat unit. Our training programs focus not only on increasing technical skills, but also on fostering leadership. In partnership with the United States Military Academy at West Point, we have created an innovative 14-week graduate-level counterterrorism preparedness course for senior fire and EMS officers. We've also trained 32-member incident management teams for deployment at long duration and at incidents of long duration and complexity. The Department has incorporated a number of new technologies into its day-to-day operations. Our most significant advancement is the deployment in February of 2003 of a new radio communication system. This system includes newly modified analog handy-talkie radios with significant advances over the previous model. Our new radios have an emergency alert function, many more channels, and use the UHF band, which allows for greater building penetration. The radios operate at higher basic power level, 2 watts, and can be boosted to 5 watts as needed. The old radios, I believe, were 1/4 watts. 1/4 watt. In addition, analog radios are generally more effective on the fire ground with firefighters and officers when they're attempting to communicate with each other at the same time, because they can interrupt each other's conversation following the protocols that we've created. The radios have a channel available for interagency communications, which allows for interoperability among fire, EMS, the NYPD, and other emergency services agencies. It's critically important to understand there is simply no 100% foolproof radio. I think we've heard testimony about that this morning. It is infrastructure that you need. It is a radio communication system that you need, something that will take the comparatively weak signal from a handy-talkie, receive it, amplify it, and project it up into a tower, or project it along a subway path or a subgrade location. Our new radios are complemented by high-powered post radios, we call them. They receive the signals from handy-talkies at the fire ground, maybe up on the 34th floor of a building or some other difficult location. And we also have mobile repeaters mounted in battalion chiefs' cars, which can amplify radio signals in high-rise buildings and other complex environments. Together, these components have provided a mobile, flexible communication system that is not dependent on in-building infrastructure that may not exist in many of the buildings we respond to, or may not be operating when we arrive. Now that we have some improved communication tools, further enhancing interoperability requires concentrating joint drills and learning from actual responses. The department's also upgrading its Fire Department Operations Center, and in the event of a major incident, key senior chiefs report to the Operations Center to provide citywide command and control and operational planning, and communicate with other chiefs at the incident location. We've made some progress toward our vision of developing this into a truly state-of-the-art operation center. For example, the Operations Center is equipped to receive live video feeds from NYPD helicopters as well as from our own satellite cameras. An enhanced geographical information system and technology to receive real-time data directly from the field are also planned. I have to add, much more funding is needed if we're going to fully realize the state-of-the-art Fire Department Operations Center. The department's also developing electronic command boards, which will enable fire department chiefs to communicate wirelessly at an incident and download and save critical information that will go to our operations center at headquarters in real time, recording the history of the incident and tracking our resources and our personnel at an event. Once adapted for the rugged conditions we face, these wireless commands boards will replace what are simply manual magnetic boards that have been used traditionally to track units at an incident. Of course, all the training and technology advancements I've discussed are intended to improve operational preparedness. That goal is also being accomplished through changes in procedures and protocols, improved cooperation and interoperability between partner agencies, internal and multi-agency drills and exercises, the development of emergency response plans, and improvements to our building and fire codes. An improved recall procedure will more effectively mobilize our firefighters and EMS personnel in the event of a large-scale emergency. Written mutual aid agreements with surrounding counties will improve coordination and provide additional resources if necessary. The FDNY has increased ICS, or Incident Command System training, developed new operational plans based on that system. Since 9/11, there has been public discussion on the use of ICS citywide, and as you all know, a protocol establishing a citywide incident management system has recently been announced. We believe the protocol will help ensure that all agencies operate with a common written understanding of their roles and responsibilities. That being said, the FDNY, NYPD, OEM, and other agencies operate cooperatively and effectively every day while responding to hundreds of incidents, large and small. FDNY and NYPD have participated in numerous interagency drills and exercises in the past couple of years, including one just last Sunday, where we tested equipment that allows personnel on any radio frequency to hear and communicate with personnel from multiple agencies, including federal agencies, can be plugged into that piece of equipment. And it can work on up to 10 different frequencies. We now assign a battalion chief to ride in an NYPD helicopter when an incident requires it, and officers from the FDNY and the NYPD serve as liaisons in each other's headquarters. We have a battalion chief stationed at police headquarters. Police department has a captain stationed at our headquarters, reports there every day. Enhancing the FDNY Special Operations Command is also critical to improving our response to large-scale incidents. We've acquired chemical agent identifiers, monitors, radiation detectors, rescue reserve apparatus, strategically located caches of equipment and medical supplies, and additional chemical protective clothing. While broadening hazmat training and the responsibilities of fire companies throughout the city, the department continues to work toward the goal of obtaining full funding to create another highly trained second hazmat unit that is with special capabilities. Through increased training and newly acquired equipment, EMS has also significantly increased its capacity to manage casualty incidents. We now have 20 HazTac ambulances deployed, those are ambulances that do what they sound like they do. They deal with hazardous materials. They're staffed with EMS personnel trained in hazardous material responses. We'll soon obtain additional advanced EMS apparatus, such as a mobile emergency response vehicle, an oxygen response vehicle, medical purposes. The events of 9/11 also emphasized the need to bolster high-rise building safety. We've worked with the Department of Buildings for recent legislative proposals to modify the building code. We are also undertaking now the most significant revision of the city's fire code since 1913. On the subject of funding, our ability to increase our preparedness depends in large measure on securing adequate funding, and we're getting help from the federal government. We feel we need more. Apart from funds for replacing apparatus and equipment lost on 9/11, there was little federal funding immediately to address the department's urgent post-9/11 preparedness needs. At the same time, the department confronted the city's worst budget crisis in 3 decades, which necessitated fire company closings, civilian layoffs, and other significant cutbacks at the fire department. The outlook began to improve in late 2002 when we received $7.3 million from the Department of Justice to train and equip our ladder support companies and our 2 incident management teams. The department received $54 million in Department of Homeland Security funding in fiscal year 2003. However, this year we've experienced a decline with only $17 million going directly to the fire department. This funding is supporting many of the training, specialized equipment acquisition, and operational initiatives I've discussed today. However, in order to lead first response and save lives in the most threatened city in the nation, the FDNY requires sustained, sufficient, flexible funding from the federal government, and we urge that it be federal funding formula based on threat analysis and risk. In conclusion, I have to say we're just extremely proud of the accomplishments, the achievements in enhancing preparedness since 9/11 in the wake of the devastation that the department experienced on that day. Indeed, I believe the tremendous heroism exhibited by the men and women of this department on 9/11 has been followed by an equally admirable and necessary effort in the face of overwhelming grief and adversity to rebuild the department and find a way to move forward to meet the challenges ahead. As I think I've also made clear, much remains to be done. I'm confident, however, that with adequate support, we will not only remain this nation's leading fire department in terms of fire suppression and pre-hospital medical care, but will be the model for overall first responders throughout the world to other kinds of challenges we now face. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. Be happy to answer questions when the time comes.